At the heart of your go-to-market strategy is this one thing. It is your manifesto. A properly created manifesto helps you craft your value proposition, helps you differentiate in the market, helps you get your message out there, helps you lead. It raises everything that you're trying to do in your go-to-market strategy. Now, on the other hand, if your go-to-market strategy is stalling, if no one is responding to your outbound emails, if your ad numbers just don't add up anymore, if deals are stalled after the discovery call, chances are it's your manifesto that is the problem. On this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 principles you absolutely need to know to crush your manifesto and accelerate the growth of your SaaS business. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you are new to this channel, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon because I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies on how to grow your SaaS businesses faster. So when you hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, we're nearly at 26,000, a little over 26, almost 27,000 subscribers, and we're growing. And if you're part of my coaching programs, if you're part of this unstoppable movement of building incredible SaaS companies, my people, welcome back. It's really good to see you over here. So over the past year, I've worked with over 100 founders inside of my programs to actually craft a proper manifesto. So I've seen probably, if there are 100 founders, probably 300 manifestos because we go through iterations. But the other day, I got a text message from a friend, old friend, and she messaged me and she's like, hey, we're working on our manifesto. Could we just hop on a quick 30-minute call? And I just wanted to need some help on fixing our manifesto. It's not working. And on one hand, this is an old friend and I love and honor my friends. I also respect my clients. On one hand, I was very honored. On the other hand, I was absolutely horrified. I'm like, what do I do with this? So I responded back and said, look, I love you. You're amazing. I'm excited for you. I'm glad you're creating a manifesto. I really believe in the effectiveness of it. But by the time a founder that I work with gets an effective manifesto, we've done some deep work to really figure out how to make it all work, how to make it all click. So doing a 30-minute call where I just look at it and give you a bunch of advice is gonna be doing you a disservice, your company a disservice, your manifesto a disservice, and also it's unfair to anyone else that I work with. Like, that's just not what the process is. And she took it just fine. And she was like, okay, we'll go back to doing it the right way. But that interaction made me realize something. It made me realize that a lot of people that don't really know the details of how a manifesto comes together thinks of creating a manifesto as like a checkbox to hit. They're like, yep, created a manifesto. But in reality, the manifestos that are effective in the market, they're actually part of a process. Building that manifesto is actually more of a process and part of a transformation in itself on how you think about your business and talk about your business than just a checkbox in go-to-market strategy. And it made me also wonder, what are the other things that the founders that really got the manifestos that crushed it, what did they do differently? How do they approach it differently? Over the last 18 months of me running my go-to-market program, I've worked with over 100 founders in actually coaching them and helping them craft their manifesto. Different kinds of B2B SaaS companies. I only do B2B enterprise software companies, and it's essentially B2B software companies in SMB, mid-market, enterprise. So but as long as it's business software, the framework works. And so it made me wonder, well, what have I learned? And so in this episode, based on all my experience, I wanted to bring you the 3 principles that really will help you make sure that you're thinking about it the right way and you don't fall into the common traps that I see founders fall into. And when you follow these pieces, you'll understand why a manifesto is important, how to do it right, how to avoid some of these common pitfalls. It'll give you some ideas on, are you on the right path or not? So if you're excited to dig in to principle number 0, I do it for principle number 0 and then 3 principles. I could have called it a bonus, but this is one super important, so I wanted to make it 0 and then 1. If you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Let's go to principle number 0. So principle number 0 is you gotta know the difference between go-to-market strategy and go-to-market activities. I started off this video by saying the most important part of your go-to-market strategy is your manifesto. But here's the thing that I see so often out there. There are a lot of founders that they'll come talk to me and they're like, okay, leads are not flowing, or there's not enough pipeline, or it's not converting, or we got a bunch of discovery calls, but they're not converting. I'm like, okay, cool. Tell me more about your go-to-market strategy. And it turns out that they kind of grazed over, they put the check boxes on the go-to-market strategy and jumped to the activities. Maybe they have a marketing team, or they hired an agency and they're sending 1,000 outbound emails, they're running ads, and they're like, it's not working. We're not getting the yield. It's not fast enough. And that is the first principle that you really want to think about, in that in order for the activities to be effective in your go-to-market, you got to put in the time to fleshing out the strategy. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10, the strategy in the early stages are owned by the founder. The founders who outsource it to an external party, they don't tend to do very well. The founders that do founder-led sales and marketing, they do really well. And there's only one exception I've seen to this. The one exception I've seen to this is when the founders, either one of the founders or they had enough capital and enough of a network, they were able to recruit in a really great VP of marketing, and that person did it. And in those cases, it worked out fine. But in every other case outside of that, if the founder outsourced it or grazed over it or skipped it and just jumped to the activities, then they lost 6 months, 8 months, a year, funding, runway, and then they're like, this is not working, what do we do? And so my principle number 0, as you're approaching this journey of like, do we do a manifesto? How do we do it? Is recognize that there's a difference between activities and strategy, and you really want to make sure you get the strategy down in terms of go to market and then drive into the activities. What are the most common things? Well, you should have an ICP, you should have a manifesto. Those are the 2 things to really start with. One caveat here: if you are pre-revenue, you shouldn't try to build a manifesto. You're too early, you're not gonna know enough. You should just try to get a value proposition down. If you're post-revenue, then you're trying to get to scale, then you wanna focus on taking that value proposition that works and transforming it into a full manifesto. Part of a manifesto is the value proposition, but it has a bunch of other things. And so you'll wanna make sure you're stage appropriate as you're approaching this. Okay, so that's principle number 0, right? And I know that was a lot, but it's important. Principle number 1 that I learned with the founders that did really well with their manifestos is they had one manifesto, and you should have one manifesto. There were cases where I meet founders, they're like, hey, we have multiple ICPs and we have multiple manifestos and we're testing it all. And I'm like, good luck. I don't believe in that. I haven't seen that be effective, mainly because in the early stages, you just don't have enough resources to chase after multiple bets. Large companies will put enough, like armies of marketing and salespeople for multiple ICPs, for expansion. So if you as a founder-led company, founder-led sales and marketing team, you're gonna say, I'm gonna go after 3 ICPs and do 3 manifestos and test it all and iterate it all, it's kind of setting yourself up for failure. In fact, it is setting yourself up for failure, is me saying it nicely. And so the founders that used their research and their data and then had the strategic conversations to actually make a choice and double down on an ICP and a manifesto and keep iterating on that one are the ones that did the best. It doesn't necessarily mean they got it right the first time, but because they were focused on one, they were able to keep iterating and pivot into either that same ICP and the manifesto that works or a different ICP and manifesto that works better. But because they weren't scatterbrained across multiple, they were able to have the discipline of really stopping and looking at the data and looking at and understanding and having the strategic conversations and making the choices to keep moving forward. They didn't get overwhelmed. And that's principle number 1, where you really want to have and work on one manifesto and one thesis and keep iterating on that versus trying to go after 3 different manifestos. And that's one of the things I see very often. Can I have multiple? Principle number 2 is you want to keep iterating your manifesto. This is another thing that I learned with founders that succeeded versus the ones that took longer to get there or just like gave up and shut down the startup. The ones that succeeded kept iterating. They're like, look, there is truth to be found, and we're gonna keep iterating on this until we meet that truth. Whether you call that truth product market fit, or you call that truth scale, or you call it like whatever that next stage of the journey is for your company, you just keep iterating. Oftentimes, I've also seen founders nail that, they do the strategy work, and then they actually drive the activities. They do the one manifesto and they get success. And then what they do is they stop doing what they did. And this is the biggest thing, even like, especially right now, right now when I'm filming this, when the markets are crazy, the founders that kept iterating tend to do better because markets change, tastes change, your understanding of the market changes, your product changes, your type of customer starts to go up market a little bit more maybe. And the quality gets better as you get bigger and bigger. And so things are constantly changing. And the biggest thing you want to be doing is, if it's working, you want to figure out how to keep incrementally improving it over time. And if there's a macro shift, actually going back to the drawing board and saying, how do we up-level our messaging, up-level our ICP, revamp our go-to-market strategy so that we are better fit for the market. And so this is super important. This principle is probably the most important principle if you're watching literally in the same time that I'm filming this, the same year when markets are crazy. Your biggest opportunity is to iterate and revamp your go-to-market so it fits the taste of the market. If you're able to do that, you will survive and thrive. And that's very, very important. And in the long run, if you keep iterating, it's gonna get better and better and better and better and better. It always will. And this is one of the things I've seen, even the best performing manifestos, the ones that we got out there, performed really well. When we looked at it 6 months later, when the company had maybe raised another round and they had continued to grow, and we looked at it, we're like, oh my God, this is terrible. I can't believe it did well. It wasn't that it wasn't terrible. It's just that we know way more about the market. We've matured, we've evolved, and then the market evolves. So we have to keep iterating. And so if principle number 0 is actually do the strategy work, you can't outsource it. You have to own it unless you have that VP of marketing. And then it's one manifesto that you tether yourself to and keep iterating on. Then you got to keep iterating. Don't just let it go stale. And that's super important. This is what I've learned from just working on so many manifestos. Like I've looked at so many. It's probably more than 300. And we've gotten better and better in the process that I personally run to get good at these. But there's also a natural function of like, okay, cool, let's see what the market decides. Because once we follow the process, it's like, let's put it in the market and then let's collect the data and then we can make decisions on it and iterate on it. And what I found is people that embrace the strategy, stick to one manifesto and keep iterating, and then actually keep iterating on it are the ones that succeed. And especially when the market dynamics shift, like right now, iterating again helps you up level and do an even better job. Now, I do have principle number 3, but let me pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? If you are, can I just get a yes in the comments below, and also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you are working on a manifesto and you want to work with me and you want my help in building your manifesto, the link is below for my go-to-market program. But don't go anywhere yet. Let's go to principle number 3. Also smash that like button if you haven't already. The YouTube algorithm really likes it. Principle number 3 is you have to also deploy your manifesto. This is one of the most powerful things that I've learned. I didn't know this in the beginning because I was like, oh, we got to create this thing to be successful. We did this multiple times, so let's teach others to do it. So like that's how this started, right? And so what I've found is founders and companies that deploy the manifesto do 10 times better in the effectiveness of the manifesto and also the company. What that means is when you are following the process, again, a manifesto is not just a checklist. You don't just create it and then move on. Like that's not how this works. It's a process. It's an actual process, deep work that we do. Once you do that, if you deploy that manifesto into different forms, different mediums, then you tend to do better. Companies tend to do better. How? Well, one, I've seen manifestos get deployed as ad copy. That's been super powerful. I've seen manifestos get deployed as a lead magnet. That's also amazingly powerful. I've seen manifestos get incorporated into the sales deck. I've seen deals that would normally get stuck and go nowhere with no close rates actually start driving urgency and increase conversions because they put the manifesto in the sales deck. And I've also seen the manifesto being incorporated in the outbound messaging and even getting attached. And that's been super powerful as well. And lastly, I've seen, this one was really cool and I knew it would happen sooner or later. I've seen manifestos get turned into an entire book, which the founder uses to really lead his category, which is really, really exciting. And so if principle number 0 is actually do the strategy work and the manifesto being a big part of it versus just hiring that agency or just sending those 1,000 emails and wondering why it's not quite working. You gotta be the founder-led sales and marketing person and own the strategy, go-to-market strategy. And a big part of that is the manifesto. That's principle number 0. Number 1 is work on one. Get one really right. And then keep iterating on it, especially when markets shift. Revamp your go-to-market strategy and part of that your manifesto as you learn more. Change up your manifesto every 3 to 6 months as you learn more and evolve as a company. And number 3, deploy that manifesto as you're iterating into all these different pieces, because that's what makes it really come alive and allows you to really differentiate in the market. What is the idea of a manifesto? The idea of a manifesto is you believe in something that not everyone sees yet. That's what your software is. That's the transformation. And so when you bring it in front of them and you deploy it in different ways and you keep iterating on it as more and more people get behind you and you evolve, that manifesto becomes the reason why you differentiate in the market versus being yet another SaaS platform. And there's so many out there. And that's why I love manifestos, and that's why they're so powerful. So to recap, here are the things you need to know to make sure you have an effective manifesto. Make sure you actually have a manifesto as part of your go-to-market strategy. Don't outsource it. Get your go-to-market strategy. Own it as a founder. If you don't, then you will fail. Number 1, actually have one manifesto that you iterate on. Make sure you keep iterating on that manifesto and that overall go-to-market strategy, and make sure you deploy that manifesto once it's working to all the different ways you can spread that message, including as a lead magnet, which is the manifesto itself. If you are in that stage where you are in the early stages of scaling your go-to-market strategy and your business, and you want my help in actually building out a manifesto, this is my most favorite thing to do. This is what I do inside of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. We work together to make sure that you are set up for success in crafting and executing on your go-to-market strategy. And the way we do that is we actually build out your ICP, we actually craft your manifesto, and then we teach you how to deploy it. All 3 of those pieces. It's an incredible program. We've had over 100 founders go through it. We've had companies that have raised subsequent rounds, reached profitability, drove growth. It's amazing. And we still have lots of companies still actively working through it. I also get the pattern recognition across multiple industries and multiple types of B2B SaaS companies to help you as well. So if you want to work together, then I encourage you to go to tkcater.com/GTM. tkcater.com/GTM. All the details are there, and you can actually fill out a form to get on a call to review all the details. And then if it's a fit, we can start working right away on your manifesto and your overall go-to-market strategy to accelerate your growth. Also, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you are new to this channel, you're not subscribed yet, we're one of the fastest growing channels on B2B SaaS. Why? Because all of this advice comes from the trenches. I've literally been in your shoes for 15 years. And then I actually now work with over 250 founders across all my different programs to help them scale their companies. I'm bringing you advice, practical, tactical strategy and advice you can apply from the trenches. And that's why we're growing so fast. And that's why people trust us, because we've literally done it. This is not theory, this is from practice. And so be sure to subscribe button and that bell icon, that way you'll get notified. If you have a fellow founder, a fellow team member, another SaaS practitioner that would get value from this video, my team and I put a lot of love into these videos. We really care for this. So please, if you want to help as many SaaS leaders as possible, please share this video with them. If you're part of a WhatsApp group or a Slack group, please share this video. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or in the go-to-market program. My people, welcome back. It's really good to see you over here. I think I got that right. The first time was probably better.